Hi, good evening everyone. Good to see all of you out here on such a great day where we're celebrating diversity and unity. So my name is Kirti and I'm from an organization called Canadian HART, which stands for Humanitarian Appeal for the Relief of Tamils. And we do a lot of advocating around Tamil issues and we speak up for the rights of Tamils in Sri Lanka who are being oppressed by the Sri Lankan government as we speak. So many of you are aware that in the past May, a 30-year war that was being, I guess, fledged by the LTT came to an end. And what resulted after that is the Tamil people being herded into these concentration camps where they are being treated like animals and where their rights were not being respected. And the government calls them the welfare camps, but the atrocities such as rape, disappearances, torture, and murder speaks otherwise. So Tamils were basically confined within these camps for months, and NGOs barely got access to them. So many of the stories remains untold, and there were no witnesses other than those who were victimized and their perpetrators. At the very same time, concerns among the international community grew. And recently, the Sri Lankan government gave in to the pressure to release the locked up minority, the Tamils. But even then, things haven't gotten all that better, because according to Amnesty, the safety of those released is not guaranteed. There are always chances of being rearrested randomly or people being asked to return to the camps. Not all IDPs are being released, and some are retransferred to other camps where they are vigorously rescreened, and chances of new families approaching increases while they're being retransferred. And humanitarian human rights organizations still have no complete access to these camps. So there's no independent body who is actually monitoring these resettlement process, which provides a lot of gap for a lot of these inhumane acts to reoccur. And the government is obviously failing its duties. And on top of that, they're not informing these IDPs, or internally displaced people, as to the living conditions in their hometowns. For instance, how is the infrastructure like in their town? Are there mines? And all those kind of details are not being released back to these people, which puts them at more risk of, just going back to being IDPs or people who are not able to lead a normal life. And and those who are released are to report at Army and Navy camps on a weekly basis, presenting an ID issued by the government as well as an ID issued by the Army. And that's another issue that we also seen in South Africa, right, during the whole apartheid. And also there are over 11,000 to 12,000 individuals, including children, who have been arrested under the suspicion of having links with the LTTE and are held in irregular detention facilities. And these detention facilities are referred to as rehabilitation centers by the government. And they are being operated by the Sri Lankan security forces and government-affiliated paramilitary groups. And many of the times we don't know what's happening to them. A lot of the times they are obviously being tortured. And it's total breach of all international humanitarian law out there. And also impunity is on the rise, and many women are being raped and sexually abused because many times, the head of the family, which is usually a man, is either missing or he's arrested. So that increases the vulnerability of the women being assaulted or raped by security forces or paramilitary groups. And on top of that, I guess they're recreating scenarios of Palestine where basically the Sri Lankan soldiers' families are being resettled into Tamil land that are very fertile, which basically is forcing the Tamils out of their own homeland, and they're basically taking up the better land and leaving the less fertile land for the Tamils. And in other words, Tamils are still in the same situation as they were 60 years ago. And if not, they are in a worse situation right now. They're still minorities with no rights, and they're still fleeing from homes scarred and carrying bitter memories. To give you a current example, there are a number of boats, some of you might know about them, that has been carrying Tamil refugees around, and some of them actually ended up in Indonesia, Australia, even in Canada and Vancouver. And a lot of these people who were in these boats have valid documents showing that they were unlawfully detained in the Sri Lankan camps. And but they're still terrorist suspects, and including women and children. And even till this day, they haven't gotten any kind of status in the respective countries they're in right now. So this is a perfect example that demonstrates that migrants still have to fight harder to be treated as equals and as humans in the Western world. So more reason to stand, for us to stand together in solidarity in each other's struggle, and to unite, and to show that together our strengths can be combined to actually, change this system.
This is Gabriela Zuniga, and I bring warm greetings from our UFCW Canada National President Wayne Henley on this special day, International Migrants Day. I would like to start my speaking notes here. I have a lot of them, but I would like to start with this quote. I asked one of my friends at the office to look it over, and he told me, "You really love this quote." And I said, "Yes, I do, and it means a lot, particularly in this day." And it's from Ernesto Che Guevara, which I'm sure most of you have heard. And the quote goes like this: "If you tremble with indignation at every injustice, then you're a comrade of mine." And I think that there is no doubt, like I said, that you have this before, and tonight, as we celebrate International Migrant Day, I know that this is more relevant today than ever before. And it's exactly what brings us together today at this event. But I've been asked to talk a little bit about our union, what our union has been doing, and at the same time a little bit about what the Agricultural Workers Alliance is all about and the work that we have been doing for the past couple of years. Before I endeavor in that, though, let me give you a little bit of a background so just have an idea of how this came to be. You know that agricultural workers have historically been Canada's more exploited and more vulnerable workers. Large factory farms have expanded in the last 10 years, and in Canada, and to continue to hide behind legislation designed to protect small family farms. Government legislation has not kept pace with rapidly expanding industrial-scale corporate agricultural business. Farm work today continues to be the most dangerous occupations in Canada. And a study estimates that there is about 120 deaths and 1,200 injuries annually requiring hospitalization in Canadian farms each year. Obviously, we estimate that these numbers actually are even much higher, because a lot of these accidents or deaths go unreported because the workers are afraid to report them because they, of the power the employers have over them of just sending them back. Since the 1990s, United Food and Commercial Workers Canada, under the leadership of our President Wayne Henley and the support of his 250,000 members across Canada, have adopted agricultural workers as their brothers and sisters because we believe the injustice must end. UFCW Canada believes that they should have the right to join a union and negotiate a collective agreement to protect them at work. We believe that if they want Canadian citizenship, they should have a path to citizenship for the years of work. We believe that if they are good enough to work here in Canada, then they're good enough to live here in Canada. They should have that choice for harvesting or food, and for the pain of the months of separation from their families each year.